Well, I'd say good afternoon. It's actually afternoon in the United States, in the Midwest, in Missouri, in the St. Louis area, and I'm shocked. I got to tell you, I am really shocked. I made a little live stream about season 1, episode 1 and 2 of this StarFleet Academy, and I've made live streams before and nobody looked at them. The fact that people looked at them is like it's amazing to me. So I want to say, first of all, I got to say thank you. Anybody who looked at this stream and just looked at it. I mean, thank you. I had no idea anybody would even look at it, and so I didn't really make it that well because I just thought no one was going to actually look at it. But now that I know people are looking at it, I thought I'd put a little bit of. First, I thought I'd put on my little Star Trek hoodie and just make sure I did something a little bit better this time. So, anyways, I even got comments, and I appreciate the comments and the interaction. And I don't know how I'm supposed to react to these comments, if I'm supposed to go through and respond, but I just thought maybe before I jump into this one, that I'm going to talk about today, I could go through a few of these comments, but I just want to say thank you. I didn't even know I was going to get comments. You have no idea how validating that feels for somebody to watch something that you've done and then make it intelligent. These aren't just snarky, rude TikTok comments. These are like really smart, intelligent, well thought out comments. So I think they deserve some attention, right? So one person is talking about how I nailed it, and I thank you. I didn't really prepare well enough to feel like I nailed it, but I'm really happy that people liked it. And then there's a lot of comments about the Paramount content and Kurtzman and all that. I mean, I agree. I don't understand. Well, I do understand. I think people who make a lot of money want to make more money. And so whatever they can do to make more money, it appears, and let me kind of go off the rails here for a second. I think we live in a time where, and I don't know if I mentioned this in the last video, we live in a time where, life expectancies are longer, people are healthier, and the choices of what you can watch in social media, not social media, but in the media is a lot more vast. And so this is probably the first time that a child, a parent, and a grandparent can be watching kind of the same show. So what do? I mean, so they're trying to maximize the impact of these different things they put out. And they found out that you can reduce the quality of the product as long as you get controversy. And I think that's the whole key of this whole Starfleet Academy. They know that if you make something that you can create some controversy, like pit the parents, the grandparents against the children, because that's what's happening if you go online like a TikTok or all that kind of stuff. You've got young people saying, "Oh, these old boomers, they don't know what they're talking about," and you got the old people talking to young people. "Oh, these young people, they don't know what they're talking about." And as long as you can keep that argument going, they're gonna argue about it in their house, they're gonna argue about it online, and all that creates traffic for these not so good shows. Before, you had to make a really good show that would appeal to a broad line of people. Now you can make kind of a mediocre show and just make sure people argued about it. It's just like when I was growing up, we watched the Tonight Show, and when I was a kid, from the '60s all the way up through the '90s, you had Johnny Carson, and that's the gold standard. Now, I've not really watched, I have to be honest, I've not really watched like Jimmy Kimmel or anybody like that, but I can't imagine that he would be as good as Johnny Carson to me. And I'm not saying he's not as good, but he's not as good to me. And so if I were to watch it, I would probably say, man, this is not as good as the Tonight Show, and this is not even the Tonight Show anymore. So I think that's probably what's going on here, is that we've got a lot of Star Trek, a 60-year-old franchise, and they're making stuff that's really not that good. I don't care what people say, this is not good. But what people can do now is they can take sides. So the people who are younger are taking sides, and then there's somehow some MAGA people have tried to make this political, which is not. It's just not a good show. So there's no, oh, woke. I mean, no, there's no. That's not it. It's not like it's because it's woke. It's because it's not good. It has nothing to do with any of that. So that's my feeling about it. My idea about rebooting the OG series, that I would pay. Actually, I would go into movie theaters. If they would do something, I'd pay money to go see that. And then someone talks about, and there's another thing that happens in this in these arguments and discussions online. A lot of times people take out one little fragment of what you're talking about and make that seem like that's the whole thing you're talking about. The fact that these characters are younger is not the issue. So he tried to make the point that, Chekhov was younger and and he was put in there because he was youth. Yes, he was. He was put in there. I read the books. You guys are telling me like I didn't read the books. I've read the books on Star Trek. I had them in my house when I was little about how all these things happen, and then we had a flood and those all went away. But anyways, I realized a lot of these things happen that way, but Chekhov had some very meaningful things to do. I remember one of his first episodes that I saw him on there was that one where the Apollo hand came out and he had to go down to the surface with everybody else and help battle this big, huge Apollo. I thought that was a pretty beefy role for a guy that just got on the show, right? It wasn't like, he just sat around to look good. He came down and did stuff from day one. And so I don't think it was just because he was younger. But he was younger. He ain't young no more. But yes, he was younger. But he really had some meaty things to do. StarFleet Academy sucks. And then I think I was just running my mouth. So if I said some things that needed to be corrected, like it's being said here that Starfleet Academy was mentioned earlier. Yes, I know, but I wasn't. I agree. F this show. Yep. Oh, and this is another thing I think I made mention of is that, this whole identity, make a good show and you don't have to, dwell so hard on the identity of the individual characters. Anyways, this is like, and then this is, the incompetence of the writing. Now, this is one I wanted to talk about for a second, and I think maybe the point was missed on this. I didn't say it would be impossible for somebody to have a worship of a 1,000-year-old character. However, it is highly unlikely. That's all I'm saying. James T. Kirk was not Julius Caesar. I'm sorry. As much as I love Star Trek, he was not freaking Julius Caesar. He was not, he was not Genghis Khan. He was not, whoever is a historical figure that we remember after thousands of years ago. And I know it's an imaginary universe, but I don't think anything that James T. Kirk did would rise to the level of someone else to be remembered for 1,000 years. That's all. I get it. I love the character. I think it's a nice call out, but 1,000 years is a lot to ask. Anyways, thank you again for your comments. I'm reading them all, by the way, and I just didn't know if I should go through these and try to respond to them, or write back or something like that. But I just want to at least let you know that how much I appreciate that somebody watched my video and thought to make. And like I said, these are not mean, snarky TikTok comments. These are like well thought out, well-written comments, and I read them, and I appreciate it, and I had people subscribe. Golly, thank you. I have not had people subscribe like this before, and I'm really happy. So I'm gonna, see if I can. I'm gonna keep watching the show. I'm a Star Trek fan. I'm gonna watch it, and unlike what every people are saying, they're like, oh, these boomers don't like it. Yeah, I'm a boomer, but I'm gonna watch it because I love Star Trek. And it's not like you're going to make us go away. We're going to watch it. And I'm going to try to find good things. I'm not here trying to tear it down. I don't want Star Trek to go away. I want it to be around for another 60 years. So I want it to keep going. I want it to be better. I'm watching it and asking questions because I want it to be better, not because I want to cancel it. That's not my intention at all. So, with that in mind, I'd like to move kind of forward to this new episode 3 on season 1. And I don't know about you guys, but when I watch these, I'm always kind of relaxed. I'm in my, I have my TV room and I sit there. And I don't know if any of you guys, and you see some of my other videos, if you enjoy a cigar or bourbon, I have a little bit of bourbon and a cigar and I relax. So this is something to kind of ease my mind and relax my mind after a day. And I'm not having any stressful days anymore because I don't go to an office. So I'm pretty happy. But at the same time, it's nice to be able to bring it down and just be entertained. So my whole point in watching these shows is simply to be entertained. Now, with that in mind, this episode 3 had the potential. It had the potential to be entertaining. I mean, really entertaining. And I'm going to tell you how they could have made this better. And I'm going to start with the positives. I think what's happening is in the first episode, they introduced all these characters. Then in the second episode, they had all these characters. And now in the third episode, they got all these characters. And quite frankly, not all these characters are good. And I was watching it, this third episode, and I said, if they would, there was a lot of goofy things and silly things that happened, so I'm not going to nitpick, because I'm trying not to nitpick every little thing. Like, why has he still got fucking oops, he's not supposed to curse. Why has he still got AirPods 1,000 years from now? Okay, that's neither here nor there. There's no other way to listen to music and work out except for that's absurd. I'm sorry. You're not going to have AirPods 1,000 years from now, and you're not going to be playing basketball like that 1,000 years from now. Some of this stuff was kind of outrageous. But anyways, I'm just going to let that pass for right now. Then I'll come back and loop at the end. But I'm just saying, even with all those clear flaws in the whole system, if you would have just done a few things, there were some really good characters, and then I'm going to get to it. So let me see how I'm going to pull this up for you in a sec here. Check this out. Boom. Oh, wait a minute. It's got to go to, let me take that back down again. And I'm going to show you my thoughts on these people. I even took the time to give you a few. What's going on here? Hang on. Well, that's not working. This reminds me of when I was at work and we had to do demos, and the demo worked perfectly before you got on the call, but once you got on the call, the demo stopped working. So anyway, but I know how to fix that. Let me just fix that real quick. We are going to copy the link again. Hang on, I don't think anybody's on yet, so you're not going to miss anything. Come back to OBS. And we are going to go here under the properties. We are going to refresh this. Boom. Then we are going to interact with it. And then it's going to work, right? And it's not working. Well, this is embarrassing. Wonder if you have to. Got me sweating up here. So it's like 10 degrees outside. So I got the heat on my house like really high, and it's starting to make me. Okay, so that's the presentation. Okay. And then I'm going to interact with it. And it's not interacting. hold on. Let's see if can I pause this for a second while I work on this? Let me stop the stream for a second. I hate to have you guys go through all this troubleshooting with me. How about refresh? Okay, refresh. And then let's come into interact. And we are still stuck. Okay. How about let's just make a completely new browser. And let's put my thing in here. Okay. Boom. Uh-oh. And then we are going to interact with that. Oh, I know what I was doing. Duh. Okay. And then we go to slideshow. And there we go. Ha! 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 Okay. So, yeah, I haven't done anything like this since I retired. So I apologize. Oh, hey, there you go. What's up? What's up? Oh, thanks, man. This OBS, it got me for a second. It got me sweating. So now I got to figure out what happened here, and I'm going to interact. There we go. So now what I'm going to talk about in a second here is these characters. Now, the first two characters, this is another thing. I don't know the names of these characters because they still aren't. I mean, I'm thinking whenever I'm watching a TV show, when they're talking to each other, they're using the character names because they know we don't know who these people are because it's the third episode, right? So, but I'm not hearing the names of these people clearly enough for me to remember. But I would say this guy and this lady, whoever they are, boom, I give them check marks. If they had a series and they had these two in there, I think we'd be in good shape, right? I mean, I don't know what you guys think. I like this guy. He's personable. He's kind of got he's got a flair to him. He seems like a young, oh yeah, I got my Star Trek hoodie. My daughter gave me this because she knows how much I love Star Trek. Anyways, this guy's very personable. He's a great guy. And I mean, he's a young guy with, he looks like he's 25, but she's supposed to be playing a teenager. That's all right. But he just looks like he's a good actor, and I really appreciate the role. The second one, this lady, she seems like she's a solid character. I would enjoy a series that had the two of them, right? And I think there's good energy between the two of these, and I like the show, those two in it. The next one, I'm just going to go to the next one, this guy. And like I said, I don't know his name. He somehow has got this other alien persona where he can make his head into a helmet or something like that. But I kind of like the dynamic tension between these two, the main character, which is an unknown guy, I don't know his name, and this mystery guy. Do you guys know? That guy's a jock, and she's also a jock. But they're solid characters. And so far, I would say if the series started off with these three characters and then followed their exploits through StarFleet Academy, I would probably, there's still, like I said, there's a lot of nitpicky things I would have, in terms of, it doesn't appear to be 1,000 years in the future. It appears to be about 20 years in the future. I mean, I'm sorry. It looks like they didn't really know what was going to happen in the future. So, and they didn't even try. They've got, they got AirPods. They're playing basketball. They're playing dodgeball. I mean, I don't even know what games anybody was playing 1,000 years ago, but I guarantee that I am not playing a game that somebody was playing 1,000 years ago. I guarantee that any game that I'm playing today, nobody was playing 1,000 years ago. So anyways, and laser tag. Come on. Come on now. Anyways, but I'm just saying, minus the fact that the people writing it didn't even take 2 seconds to think about what the future might be like. They wrote it 20 years in the future, and they have these three people. We're still good. We're still good. But, okay, then one more. This lady, she's kind of different. And she's a Betazoid, and I like her too. I mean, I kind of like the interaction between these two. I like the way, they're flirting and, there's a relationship, but there's not a relationship. And, it seems like this is something that they're going to arc into the future, and who knows what's going to happen between the two of them. But I guess I'm okay with that relationship. It's not like, they met, they fell in love, and now they're going to be like this dynamic thing, this dynamic duo. They're not trying to do that. She's on the opposite side. He's on one side. She's making her own decisions. He's thinking thinking he's his girlfriend. But, that's teenage stuff. Even though none of them look like teenagers. Anyways, so, oh yeah, Brett. There's one guy. Remember the old Star Trek when they had that guy Devon Ali Rao? There's the younger guy, the brother in the season in episode 2 kind of looks like that guy, the younger version of that guy. Okay, now that's it. All right. If they cut that and they said, okay, we're going to take these. I don't know how many was that. 6. We're going to take these 6 characters, and this is now StarFleet Academy. I think, like I said, in spite of all of the goofy things that they're doing, the silly mistakes, giving people the finger, all the stuff that was crazy that they did in this episode 3 that had nothing to do with the future, I think we still, I'm going to tell you, that's how I watch the show. I would watch the show just for these 6 characters. And then when anybody else came on the screen, I just kind of, like I said, I smoke cigars and I drink bourbon. I kind of just zoned out when anybody else came on the screen. I zoned out. Now here's where the problem lies. Number 1, oh my God. This has got to be one of the worst characters, and I don't care what they call her. She could be, what do they say? She's half Klingon and half Jim Hadar. This, whatever she is the worst character I've ever seen on Star Trek. I'm just saying, no. This is a big no. And I dislike her from beginning of her, every time she starts talking. And I'm sorry to yell. Let me calm down. Because I haven't even got to the worst one yet. We're not even at the worst one yet. If they would eliminate this goofy character right here, the goofy one, this would make that show 1,000,000 times better right off the bat. Get rid of this. And she's yelling and threatening. And I mean, I've never seen, well, it doesn't matter. Let's forget about canon. And let's forget about how Jem'Hadar acted in the past. Let's forget about how Klingons acted in the past. There is no character in any TV show that anybody would enjoy seeing acting like that. Let's see what you guys have got to say about it. What do you guys think? You guys are saying, the stupid's marching on. Yeah, we don't need these two. I haven't got to the second one. This first one, I don't know her name, and I don't care to know her name. I want her to go away. Every time she comes on the screen, I do like this. Oh no. I don't know. I don't know what stereotype of human that that people are appealing to, but I watched, there's a guy, he does another podcast, and he's just thumbs up her all day long because I think that's what he thinks somebody's like. And I don't know who it is because it is doggone awful. I'm sorry for the language, but in my regular life, there's a lot of profanity because when you're not going into an office and you're just speaking to your friends, you just kind of... Okay, the next one. Well, let me go back. Oh my God, my ex didn't work on her. This one, the Reno from Discovery, there is absolutely no point. Not only is this first one bad, but the second one, there's no point to her character. I just don't even know why she's there. Because on Discovery, she was kind of the engineer type thing, and now she's just like goofy sidekick to the loud woman here. And it's just the two of them gone. If it was up to me, they would I wouldn't even have an explanation. I wouldn't even have an explanation. They would just disappear, just like they make people disappear with the transporter now without beaming, right? Thanks for excusing my language, but these two are probably the worst. I can't even think of what, when there was one scene in this episode 3 where she's like, bring on the drones and this. I'm like, no. No. So anyway, I just can't, and I'm sorry, I just can't find a single appealing thing about either one of these characters. I'm just telling you, every time one of these scenes come on with either one of these characters, I am grimacing like, oh. So like I said, this isn't about, and I know a lot of people online are talking about that, us boomers and we just don't like it because it's centered on young people. No, I like the young characters. I hate these two. Just get rid of these two and we'd have something to go. Yeah, exactly. You would laugh. If you're training, if I'm taking my groceries from my car into my house, and this lady would have come up and say, get those steps hard, I'd be like, who are you talking to? you think like you trying to hurry up and have me get the food in the house so you can eat. What is going on with this person being the person to train me on discipline when they clearly have done it? That's absurd. This one, I guarantee you, and I wish if somebody at Paramount would watch if you cut these two characters, don't even explain why they're gone. Just have episode 4, they're just missing. And I would think that's another thing they need to do. You don't need to have every last one of these characters in every last episode. I think you would be better off, like they didn't have Robert Picardo as the doctor in this one, I don't think at all. Fine, we don't need to have him in every episode, and we don't need every character. And these two, if they don't come back to season 7, episode 2, and then they get blown up by somebody, I'd be perfectly happy. Get rid of these two. Next ones. Ah! Ah! Fuck the freaking Klingon guy. Now, I didn't put an X on the skinny dude because I don't know who he is. They could keep him for I think he's kind of like comic relief, right? So you want to do some funny stuff, bring him on from time to time, and Star Trek's always got that funny character like Barkley or whoever, but let him come on. But this guy, he is one of the worst characters. Look, you can tell he's got shoulder pads under his uniform because he's so skinny. Jaden the soft-ass Klingon. They told a joke, I think it was on this one or the previous episode 2. Oh, Jaden. Get it? I didn't get it. I mean, maybe you guys get it. I did not get it. But I don't like this guy at all. They had one scene where he's forcing his voice down, and you can tell he sounds like me when I was 12 and I was trying to force my voice down lower. I was like, why? And what he's saying is so absurd. Let's say that he's not a Klingon, right? Let's just say he's just some weird character that they invented. His lines are so awful, and they have nothing to do with anything. We're in StarFleet Academy saying, I don't want to do this. He might as well just quit. So that's another one. If they just had him disappear because he's not doing anything, he's not having any kind of interaction with anyone. If they just one day he was gone, that would improve the show by another 1,000,000%. We would not have any. So they're telling us boomers. We're not hating the young ones. This guy is. I hate this. I'm sorry for using the word hate. I hate this guy. Every time he shows up, my eyes roll in the back of my head, and I'm like turning it off and hoping he goes away. And so that one, I can't. I don't know what kind of burn would constantly happen to cause a Klingon not only to talk like this, but to act like this. Remember back in TNG when Worf had a son, Alexander, and he was kind of a wimpy little kid? Alexander's tougher than this guy. Alexander came on D Space Nine and screwed up everything, but he was better than this guy by a million. Alexander would kick this guy's ass up and down the street and say, "You are not a Klingon." And I wasn't even a Klingon, but I was more of a Klingon than you. Golly. Oh, jeez. This guy's horrible. I mean, I don't even know. He's made videos. He's come online talking about he met Michael Dorn. I said, I was going to ask you met Michael Dorn and he didn't slap you in the face? He is the worst of the worst. I'm not even done. We're not even at the worst. This is, okay. Oh my God. Oh my God. Let's go back. See? Oh my God. This has got to be one of the worst characters, and I don't know who this person is. She's supposed to be a freaking hologram. She is the worst character I've ever seen. And I'm not saying the worst because I got one more that's even worse than her. She is so awful. There was a scene, and like I said, this isn't really a review, right? I'm just kind of giving you my impressions of that last Season 3 episode. I don't care if people be making these things and says, "Oh, there's spoilers." Duh, of course there's spoilers. I watched the show and I'm talking about it. If you don't want to hear about the show, don't type in a title of a video that says they're going to talk about the show. I always thought that's ridiculous. It's like they'll even put that on if somebody's doing a review of like Godfather, which came out in the freaking 70s, like, attention, there's spoilers. The movie's been out for 50 years, of course. You ain't seen it? Okay. This was so bad that there's two scenes I think I'll point out. One scene, they were trying to plant some flowers by the absolute worst character told them to do. And she's there eating the dirt. Listen. They didn't have this character from the second episode who ate the comm badge. Maybe they just made her disappear. But they need to make this one. This is a hologram. And when they did the prank, and I'm like, I think the prank thing was corny, but I'm just saying, if it was just those first 5 or 6 characters, I could have even gone with it. But having this character getting plunged in the water and a hologram is emitting bubbles from her mouth and nose. Oh, God. What? Oh, my God. Oh, my God. This is the worst character. I don't know what she's supposed to have, but why in the world would you program a holiday character with this many freaking flaws? That doesn't make any sense. It makes sense that they don't have capability. If I do a computer program, it may, like, they had back with, what was that show? Which one was that? The awful Star Trek movie, Nemesis, where they had Data, then they had B4. That was kind of corny, right? But B4 was like an immature version of Data, but it wasn't like he was socially awkward. He was just less programming. And like you said, she's playing the villain. The whole idiot. You don't need an idiot. I don't know why TV shows feel that character role needs to be filled. That somebody's got to play an complete idiot. So if you eliminated this character, and like I said, all the other ones eliminated, the show would improve dramatically. I think it would be able to have some character arcs. It would be able to have some interesting stories. I did not mind, I'll be honest. I didn't mind those two sides, the War College and the Starfleet guys battling it out, and doing the whatever they're doing, the laser tag. I didn't mind that until those other characters I put X's on it came in and said some stupid stuff and made me think this whole thing is just really stupid. And it really is stupid, but it's even more stupid when you have stupid people doing stupid stuff. can't imagine that you're going to get a role. I can't imagine you're going to get a role on a major show. And I imagine the competition for these roles had to be pretty. I mean, I don't think, it was walking up the street and, and said, hey, you know what? What's behind that door? Oh, Paramount. Oh, I'd like to try this role. And they just got. So I'd imagine there's competition. She had to be the best of the best, right? Or for that role, best of the best for this particular role, and she got it. So I imagine there's several readings and all sorts of stuff. And then to be put in this position, I've never seen her do anything else. I can't imagine that this is the height of her career. You're right. I think she probably, if she was in a play or in another movie, we would probably not even recognize her because they're making her so idiotic in this show. So she's probably a nice, very talented actress. Let me put that back. All these people are probably very fine, talented actors and actresses. But in these roles, they look like complete idiots. So I think you're right. I think you're probably right. So, the number one awful character of the whole show. I cringe every time this woman comes on the scene. There is not a single line. There is not a single action. There is not one single thing she's done to build any confidence in me thinking that she's going to be on this show longer than the first season. Now this one actor, I know the name, but I don't have any idea what she acted in. I don't remember any. I just heard the name. But the first scene out of the gate, the woman is laying on her sofa and she's got. You're not gonna believe I'm gonna say this. She's got dirty feet. They don't sweep the floor in the 31st century. So she's walking around with bare feet. In a scene, she's got her feet sticking in the camera, and they're dirty. I've had enough. I mean, I really did. At that point, I was going to switch the TV and go back to the Australian Open and watch, Coco Gauff instead of this freaking nonsense. But I said, I'm going to watch this until... then the third set with Coco Gauff and she won. Then that was my timing, anyways. Let's see. You said 6 years. Yeah, I don't know what she's trying to do. It's her voice is irritating. Her mannerisms are absurd, and her dialogue is ridiculous. There was one scene in this third episode where she was literally laying upside down with her feet in the air talking to somebody. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're my best friend, if it's a female. I don't care if whoever you are. I do not want to have a conversation with you upside down with your feet in the air. I mean, this is not going to happen. This is like the most irritating character that I've ever seen. And I don't know if it'll... I'll even put a Rex on the doctor here. There's no reason 3,000. Why would I need 1,000-year-old piece of technology to help run anything on my ship? I'm surprised that somebody on the ship doesn't run and go get an iPhone. I mean, it's just makes no sense why you would need this doctor who was programmed 1,000 years ago. There's not even a program that exists 1,000 years ago. So 1,000 years in the future, that's like me going into my garage and pulling out my old Macintosh that runs Mac OS 1 and thinking it's going to do something like communicate with alien ships when they invade Earth so Will Smith could shoot them down. Who would make a movie like that? Oh my God. Yeah, let her go. Let her go. let her just, let the Paul, and they didn't have this Paul Giamatti character come back. He's floating off into space, and I assume he'll be back. So let's let's bring back Paul Giamatti. Let him take her away in that spacecraft. Let him unplug the doctor, because there's no way his programming was maintained through 1,000 years of releases. Can you imagine pulling out your old Apple Mac from 1990 and going to his Apple store and say, I'd like to upgrade this to the current release? And that's 20 years. You're talking about 1,000 years of upgrades over the years, and the only thing you've done is make the character look older. And he still sings songs from 1,000 years before that. Anyways, makes no sense. So yeah, get rid of them characters, and I think you got something. That's my feelings. I don't want to. Like I said, that's kind of what that's my. I tell you, that's my thought on the show, is that they I don't know what and why they're doing what they're doing, but I would say if they and not also from episode 1, episode 2, episode 3. There's no story. I still don't get what the story is. I mean, so yes, in this episode that we're talking about right now, yes, there was a conflict between Starfleet and the War College, and she's trying to tell them, oh, in order to battle them, you must use patience and empathy. Okay. I didn't see any of that exercise. I'm just saying it didn't make sense. And it didn't happen. So there was two things. It didn't make sense, and it didn't happen. And they it just seemed like they were trying so hard. They said, let's pull in some fan service. They pulled in some monsters from the old Star Trek. They just did a horrible job of doing this. So my suggestion, like I said at the beginning, eliminate all these crazy characters and just maybe sit down. This is what I would do. I would sit down and try to figure out, what stories do I want to tell with these characters. There's so many things happening that's what Star Trek did best. There's so many things happening in the world today. Take those things and make a statement, right? Just see if you can make a story about people having these complex. There's so many stories that with people who had to deal with one of the stories, euthanasia, man. I remember that story to TNG. They talked about that. There's so many different topics that are still kind of controversial out there, that you can kind of take some of these really good characters and flesh them out. So you've got conflicting sides. You've got a core group of good characters. And even some of the guys on the War College side, they seem kind of like they could be interesting. Use that basis and to get rid of all the silly ones, and then come up with some stories that might be compelling and interesting for people in 2026. We're Star Trek fans. We're interested in stories. The morality, tell us what you are trying to tell us, because right now, all I see is a bunch of silliness. And let's see, what do you got to say? I don't know what they're doing. They don't have that many episodes, talking about filler. And the same thing happened with Strange New Worlds. They only have 10 episodes per season. So if you get an episode that feels like filler, you've wasted 1/10 of your whole time to tell a message. And so for me, Strange New Worlds started off in season 1, which was pretty okay. I thought season 2 was great. I really did. And I really had hope after season 2, because those episodes were great. The one that was about Spock Amok, I think, or what was the name of it, where he was kind of like, that was great. And T'Pring and all that kind of stuff. Then season 3 just went into nutso land. And it's like, this series seems to have taken off just like kind of tangented, even though it's in the future, it tangented off of Discovery and Strange New World and just continued the nuts. They just continue being nutty. They know good and well what we want, right? Here's another thing. I don't know about the filler thing. They know what we want. What do we want? We watched Picard, and it was miserable in season 1. And then it was awful in season 2. And then season 3 was like, oh, okay, this has gotten pretty good. And the last scene of Picard season 3 was this they were alluding to the fact that they were going to make a series called Legacy, and it's got 7 and 9 as the captain, and Q is going to show up from time to time, and we were salivating. We couldn't wait. We were like, when is that going to come on? And what did they give us? StarFleet Academy. And just like those Vulcan, the people on that War Academy did, we wanted to give them the 2 middle fingers because they gave us what we didn't want. I've heard that about this Acolyte. Exactly. I've heard the same thing. It's like, so like I said, I'm not trying to dump on this whole show and series because, like I said, there's potential. But it's just like if you've got so much junk, the whole thing is going to be junk. So if they could just get rid of, of course, it's, that's it was only obvious that that's what was going to come next, right? Is that we were going to have Legacy, and if this Starfleet Academy could have been animated. It could have been like Lower Decks or something. This show really could have been animated. And if it was animated and it was like Lower Decks or something like that, I watched that and I just know it's kind of going to be funny and it's going to be a comedy and they're going to be doing crazy stuff that, because you could do stuff animated and more geared toward kids, I wouldn't have anything to say. If we went straight to Legacy and this Starfleet Academy was a cartoon, then we'd be fine. But no, this is trying to be like, we're really making a serious show. And I'm like, no, you're not. You're not making a serious show. It is it's not that good. And so back to the controversy online, I hear people all day long talking about older people. I don't know if you guys are older or younger or what, but us older people just hating on it because of the canon, because it's youthful, because they're used doing different things with the characters that we don't appreciate. That's not it. Do whatever you want to with the characters, but don't make them stupid and don't make them silly, because Star Trek is about science. It's not Star Wars. We don't have a force. I know Star Wars, by the way, don't get me wrong, but I know I'm watching something completely different when I'm watching Star Wars, because with Star Trek, they're trying. I mean, obviously, a lot of the technology hasn't been fleshed out, and Discovery, oh my God. I watched the whole thing, but anyways, but they try to at least use technobabble, and they ran it, I know the original series, the Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, a lot of these shows, they actually ran a lot of the concepts by scientists to kind of speculate on how, this could possibly happen. They just didn't pull crap out of their rear ends. They were really trying to make science fiction based on some science, right? And so, can we make a warp drive? There's some lady who's got a real cool series about that. I mean, it's something that you, as a thought bubble, you can kind of think this through. But it was so absurd what they've been doing with this one. And that's another thing. I don't know, so let me finish this thought. The Star Trek we knew and loved was based on solid, extrapolation of science and technology. Can we do this? Can we actually have a hologram that interacts with mass? Well, there's a way to do that. Can we have they had the iPad on there and Voyager. Can we have all the information we need, the data and communication on a tablet that we could walk around and interfaces with the computer, the main computer? Well, we got that now. So, but when we're watching this show, this Starfleet Academy, There is not one technology they've introduced. They're walking around with these big old iPads. My iPad that I have upstairs is better than the ones they have in the show. Those are big, bulky things. My iPad that I have today is nice and thin and easy to carry around. So the technology, and AirPods. My AirPod doesn't glow and hang out of my ear like that. So I'm just saying the technology that they have is not as good as the technology I have. And I don't know. In the basketball, the late, what do you call it? The 3D printed basketball that they're playing with. We got that already. They weren't showing anything like futuristic, except for zapping people with the phaser, and transporting them with a phaser, which they didn't even try to explain how you could shoot somebody and transport them. They didn't even try, so let me see. Oh, I could go check that out too. Hey, so then we got oh yeah, that's the point I'm trying to make. Before, and I said that earlier, before, it wasn't just 10 episodes. And I don't know how many episodes we're going to get of this, but the newer Trek is like 10 episodes, like Strange New Worlds, you got 10. But it used to be, like you said, you get 20, 26 episodes, so if one sucked, you're okay. You just wait till next week. And, they have 1 week, they have Aquiel, and that sucked on Next Generation. But then a week after that, he had something that was really good. So that was the thing about it. If you had enough episodes that you could watch, I'm telling you, I could if there's 26 episodes in a season of any given Next Generation, out of 26 episodes, I guarantee you that I could watch 23, and 3 of them suck. And, so I know a lot of times people are talking, even online, they're like, oh, well, Star Trek original series had some real episodes that suck. Of course, they only had 3 seasons, and some of those episodes really sucked, but some of those were really freaking good. So if they do something in StarFleet Academy that matches, some of the ones they did, like Mirror Mirror, I'm in. But don't just do the Mirror Universe just because you heard that we like it. Do something creative. I think that's another thing. I'm almost positive, and I'm not positive 100%, but I'm pretty positive that they're using AI to write this. I think AI is AI is only as good as the people who are contributing to this model. I think what happens is they're doing a lot of stuff with AI. This is my fear. My suspicion is that they're like, write me a script that is based on Star Trek, that's going to have a lot of quirky characters doing some quirky things in the Academy, and give me, an outline for concepts of 10 different stories. And then the AI spits out, well, first, have them go out in space and have programmable matter take over the ship. Number 2, then have them, meet some Betazoids or something who are sign languaging now, even though they're telepathic. And then 3, we'll have them play dodgeball. So I think it's number 4. What's number 4? Is they're gonna go play hide and seek someplace? I don't know what they're gonna do next. The pranks, I don't know what people think pranks are in high school. They're going to go TPing somebody's house next. that might be the next step on this show. Episode 4 is they're going to go to the Klingon homeworld and TP all the temples in there or something. Well, yeah, Wesley. Yeah, so Wesley Crusher actually went to the Academy a long time ago. So that's another thing. Oops, what happened? Hang on. All right. I'm learning a lot from these. I'm learning a lot from. I am learning a lot from these broadcasts. I'm gonna have to figure out a way now to get a constant battery. Have a constant battery source on my camera. No, I'm learning. I mean, this is like number 2 of this, so I think I'm learning. You know what I'm saying? It's like I'm not gonna just go online and say this is the way it's supposed to be, and the fans should just, grow up or something. That's another thing. I don't like the way they're talking to us. Like that character I didn't like that played the Jim Hadar and half Klingon. She's gotten on interviews talking about how our fans, how we're what she call us, rabbit dogs or something, and she's just as insulting in real life as she is on the screen. You know how some people play a character, but then you see them in real life. She was just as insulting. She was just as unlikable as she was in on the screen. And the guy the guy that plays the Klingon guy, Jay didn't, because they made a joke about that, and I didn't get the joke. He's just as soft, and I don't know if he's what he is. He might just be a soft guy, but he's just as soft and kind of weak in his interviews as he is on. He just doesn't have a presence to be. I think an actor needs to have some sort of presence. Every time I think about an actor, they're acting, and they pull you in to want to hear what they have to say, and they just don't pull me in to want to hear what they have to say, and I don't know if it has to do with, it doesn't have anything to do with being attractive or unattractive or heavy or light, but it's just like they're just not a pleasant person to make you want to. You're not interested in anything they have to say, because I can think of all sorts of actors. They kind of look different. I tell you, what's his name? Paul Winfield. He was alive. He wasn't the most handsome dude in the world. You know what I mean? But yeah, I would watch all day long if whatever he had to do. And there's all sorts of actresses and actors, are all different sizes and shapes and ages, that just are very compelling, that you want to watch them and listen to them. But these people are not. But it's just what I'm saying. Exactly what you're saying. It's not that he's soft. It's just he's not really. Whatever he's trying to depict is not depicting. I'm not really getting it. It just seems like, you ever have somebody, and maybe it's because I'm getting older, that speaks really, really low and fast, and I can't really hear them, and I got to keep asking what was. And I don't think my hearing is going yet. I'm 64. I'm not 84, but so I'm pretty good. If somebody's talking with a normal tone, I'm good. But if just one people are, I know a guy, he's like that. He kind of talks low and almost at a mumble, and it's really fast, and it gets irritating. After a while, it's like, oh man, this guy's talking again. Yeah. So anyway, so that's really, to be honest, that's all I had on this. I don't really have anything more. I just wanted to get on here and get a quick little video about this new episode. I didn't see, to be honest, I turned it off and I went straight back to tennis. So I didn't really see the sneak preview for episode 4. So I don't even know what it's going to be about. I'll watch it, but I don't know anything about what it's going to be about. But I'm here, and I hope you guys, and like I said at the beginning, I really appreciate people coming in and watching my video. I was literally expecting no one. And that's one thing. And I did that with this StarFleet Academy. I had extremely low expectations. I thought this was going to, at the beginning of it, I thought it was going to suck. And I said, this is going to suck. And it's going to suck bad. But I'm going to watch it hoping it doesn't suck as bad as I thought it would suck. And it did. But what I said, and I'm not completely negative, I've got hope. I have hope that maybe somebody will watch my thing. I didn't realize anybody would watch it. And if all they got to do really, they don't maybe even have to get rid of those characters. Just don't have them show up. Just have an episode where you don't have that Klingon dude, or you don't have that Jim or lady. You don't have those people show up every episode, and I think it'll be better. Maybe the captain needs to go off on a sabbatical for a while. If you have these people just disappear and not come back for a while, I think it'll be better. Anyways, hey, look, guys, I'm about to check out. I got nowhere to go because it's like 10 degrees here in St. Louis, but I'm just going to probably have some lunch and watch some reruns of Star Trek. All right. Hey, thanks for coming on and spending some time with me. I appreciate it. Yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'm really happy you're here, and I'll be back soon. Okay, peace.